Hello everybody, and thank you for tuning in to the Business GCSE Options evening, which should, I suppose, be an evening, but you can listen to it on the recording today. So I really hope that you guys, at the end of this presentation, think that it'd be a really good idea to take Business GCSE, and me or Mr. Cassidy, so I'm Mrs. Finch, or Mr. Cassidy would be really happy to answer any questions that you guys might have about business and what that might look like. So if any of you do have any questions, then you can email me or Mr. Cassidy, and we'll be more than happy to answer those questions if you've still got some at the end of this presentation. Okay, so first thing I'm going to ask you is, would you like to be your own boss, to understand what goes on in the world of work, to know what businesses look for when they recruit their staff, to know where a business gets its money to operate, and to know how companies work to get you to buy their products? So I wonder if any of those things have ever occurred to you. Do you really think, well, what goes on in this big wide world of work that you're all going to have to walk into when you finish education? And it doesn't matter whether you're going to finish education at the end of school and go and get an apprenticeship, or whether you're going to go on to do A-levels or do a BTEC, or whether you're going to go on to university, or whether you're going to go on to a PhD. It doesn't matter what level you leave education, all of you will have to go into the world of work in some way. Now, to go into the world of work, to have an understanding about what the world of work might look like and the things that you might have to understand is really important. Do you guys know how you get paid and what your pay slips will look like? Do you know how people get recruited and what people are looking for? Do you know what the different ways that businesses get their finance? If you don't know those questions, maybe we should before we go into the world of work. So, just some questions for you to think about. The next question is, if the answer is yes to any of those, then maybe this is the course for you. Okay, so when you leave school, you may be working for a business or any other organisation. All right, and after studying business, you will have an insight in just how businesses operate, including maybe, possibly, how to set up your own business of your own. Maybe a little bit like Richard Branson. However, you don't have to want to be Richard Branson to want to do GCSE business studies. Some of you may just want to know, to enable you to go and get a job, to enable you to understand what's important about that job, to maybe to understand a little bit more about where the global market comes from, and why is it when we press buy on Amazon, how far away our businesses, our goods are actually coming from. So all those things to me are really interesting and really important. It's important now for you. I think it's really important when you end up having to go out to the big wide world of work. So the course, what's it all about? So this is a practical course using real businesses as examples. So whenever we look at a business to understand it a bit more, we always, the course always looks at real businesses. So I'm not going to look at obscure thinking. It's always about, well, what is McDonald's and how does McDonald's recruit its staff, and how does McDonald's actually engage their staff and motivate their staff and train their staff, and what does that mean for them? And then how do some of the bigger companies like Vodafone or some of the so like BT, how do they get their money, and how are they different from the plumber around the corner that runs his own business? So it's always real businesses that we talk about. So it's always things that you guys can probably relate to as well. So it will enable you also to learn skills about how to make decision making, because obviously in every business that we look at, they're asking you what's the best option for this business, which type of business ownership should they use, what finance should they use, how should they motivate their staff. And all those things are really important, and they help you understand how to make decisions with the information that's been given to you. And it also maybe be one step ahead in understanding how businesses operate. And that might really help you moving forward into the different ways when you go out to work. So, big question, what on earth do we study? So we study marketing, including advertising, development of products, and setting the best price. So have a think about some of those big adverts that you see and think, well, what really goes behind those, and what do they think about when they're actually making those adverts? We think about recruitment, so employing people. How do you get jobs, including how businesses get the right staff and keeping them working well? We think about how businesses are structured, including the different ways that you can set up businesses. And it's really interesting. A lot of the time when we ask in the classes, me and Miss Cassidy, oh, what do your parents do? And what type of business do they work in? And how is that run? And it helps you really understand the different ways that the world works. We help you understand about finance. So where does money go in business, including how the businesses get their money, how they set up, how they operate, and how do they make a profit? Profit means the money that you get that you put in your pocket. That's always, remember, pocket equals profit. And all of that is really important. So business operations, including how businesses produce the things that we buy, and the influences on business, including the environment and how businesses can operate around the world, and how actually we're all one big global company, and how many companies there are in the world that actually run the vast majority of the other companies that you think are single. So globalization is a really interesting one. So we do link to lots of other subjects as well. So when you think about geography, we think about the history of business, we think about how finances and how maths works. All those things really link together. So all sorts of really interesting stuff as we go through. So the next big question is, why would you want to choose business as an option? So you may be able to understand, you will be able to understand the business world, which you will enter after finishing school, college or university. Now, we've already said that. It doesn't matter whenever you go into business. Every single one of you will have to go into a business to get a job. And if you have a basic understanding of what that means, then that is really good for you and puts you ahead of somebody that doesn't. You'll be able to make informed choices and put forward arguments to persuade others, because we're asking you all the way through this course, what's the best type of motivation? How should they recruit their staff? What training will be best for this company? What's the best way for them to get finance? All of those about putting persuasive arguments forward. So you will have the knowledge to help you set up your own business if you wanted to, but it's not necessarily what you have to do. The skills you learn, such as evaluation and problem solving, will also be really useful in this subject and lots of other subjects that you end up having to do. So business can also lead to loads of vocational qualifications, and it's a really good stepping stone for you into A level, especially if you wanted to do economics, accountancy, and of course business A level. A number of the students that go on to do the level 3 business that I run as well, also, obviously at Whaddon, also go on to do business in university. We've had a number go in to do business and music, business and accounting, business and law. One of my young people last year went on to become an accountant, and she's on her way now to be a qualified accountant. That was straight from doing the business level 3 at Whaddon School. Okay, so there's loads of different options and loads of different ways. Then the next biggest question, obviously on your lips, is how do I get assessed in this? Now, there isn't any coursework. It's 2 big exams at the end of the course, each 90 minutes long, no controlled assessment, and the exams are a combination of multiple choice, some extended writing to test your ability and to explain a particular decision making. Okay, so really, really interesting. Obviously, me and Mr. Cassidy love the course. We think it's, a really interesting course and really relevant for whatever you go on to do later in life. So I'd just like to remind you, if any of you have any questions, please come back to me or Mr. Cassidy and we will be more than happy to answer them for you. Okay, I hope loads of you choose business, because in me and Mr. Cassidy's opinion, it's one of the best courses that you can do. All right, thank you very much for listening, guys.